Hans stared at the security guards surrounding him. His hand shook as he clutched his box of personal items. This couldn't be real. Just this morning, he had arrived at Stellar Dynamics ready for another day of work. Now, at 2:30 p.m., he was being thrown out like garbage. Through the large glass walls of the executive office, Director Taven watched. The alien's blue skin seemed to shimmer with satisfaction. All four of his eyes were fixed on Han, not blinking. The Maurid had taken over the company only 3 months ago, but he had already changed everything. Han had worked at Stellar Dynamics for 5 years. He was their top engineer, respected by everyone, until Taven arrived. "Keep moving," one guard said, pushing Han toward the exit. Han looked around at his coworkers. Some looked away in shame. Others watched with wide eyes. His friend Sun gave him a small nod from behind her desk. She looked worried. "This is wrong," Han said. "You're all going to see that soon." The meeting with Taven, just 30 minutes earlier, kept replaying in Han's mind. He had discovered serious problems with the new Starship engine design. The data was clear. The engine would fail catastrophically during gravity fold. People would die. Han had prepared a careful presentation with charts and simulations. He had expected Taven to be concerned, maybe even grateful. Instead, the alien had become angry. "You claim our design is flawed," Taven had said, his voice oddly flat. "The Maurid have built starships for centuries before humans learned to leave their atmosphere." "With respect, Director," Han had replied, pointing to his data, "the physics is clear. This configuration creates an unstable resonance in the fold field. The math doesn't lie." Taven had stood up then, towering over Han. All four eyes had narrowed at once, an expression Han now recognized as deep anger. "Your primitive human understanding is insufficient," Taven had said. "You are terminated for incompetence and insubordination." Now, as the security guards pushed him through the main glass doors into the street, Han felt lost. 5 years of work ended in minutes. The specialized neural implants that all Stellar Dynamics engineers received had already been deactivated. Han could feel the emptiness where company access had been. "Your personal credentials have been deleted from the system," the taller guard said. "Do not attempt to enter any Stellar Dynamics property again." Han stood on the sidewalk, watching as the guards returned inside. Through the glass, he could see Taven moving among the engineers, probably already explaining how Han had been wrong, incompetent, maybe even dangerous. The trip home to his small apartment felt longer than usual. Han placed his box on the kitchen table and sat heavily on his couch. What would he do now? Stellar Dynamics was the leading aerospace company in the region. Being fired, especially by a Maurid executive, would make finding another engineering job nearly impossible. His communication device buzzed. A message from Sun. "This isn't right. Many of us believe you. Be careful." Han was about to reply when another notification appeared. His bank account. Stellar Dynamics had already removed his final payment and benefits. They had even charged him for company property damage. His workspace computer that he had supposedly corrupted with improper simulations. Han barely slept that night. He kept running the simulations in his mind. The engine design was fundamentally flawed. Why couldn't Taven see it? Or did he see it and simply not care? The knocking at his door woke him early the next morning. Han found a courier waiting with an official envelope. "Legal delivery for Han Kim," the courier said. "Signature required." Han signed and took the package inside. His hands trembled as he opened it. The documents were dense with legal language, but the main point was clear. Stellar Dynamics and Director Taven were suing him. The charges included corporate sabotage, attempted defamation of superior alien technology, and spreading human disinformation to undermine company interests. They wanted damages of 5 million credits, more money than Han would earn in 20 years. Han sat at his kitchen table, surrounded by the papers. This wasn't just about firing him. Taven wanted to destroy him completely, to make an example of him. His communication device buzzed again. "Son, Taven called an all-hands meeting. He's telling everyone you tried to sabotage the project because you're anti-alien. Nobody believes him, but everyone is scared. What will you do?" Han looked at the legal papers, then at his small apartment. He had very little savings, no job prospects, and now a massive lawsuit from one of the most powerful companies in the sector. "I don't know yet," he typed back to Son, "but I'm not giving up." 3 weeks had passed since Han lost his job at Stellar Dynamics. His small apartment, once just a place to sleep between long workdays, had become his prison. Empty food containers piled up beside his couch where he spent most days, staring at his communication device. "We regret to inform you that your application has been declined." Han deleted the message. The 12th rejection this week. Every engineering firm in the region had the same response. No one would touch him. Not after being fired by a moored executive for incompetence. Not with a 5 million credit lawsuit hanging over his head. The apartment's climate system hummed weakly as Han pulled a blanket around his shoulders. He had turned down the temperature controls to save money. His savings wouldn't last much longer. His device pinged with a new message. Han almost didn't check it, expecting another rejection. Instead, he found a private message from Ju, one of the few engineers at Stellar Dynamics who had still respected him. "Security is tighter than ever," her message read. "Taven has moved up the production schedule. They're skipping final safety tests on the engine. First installation happens next month on the passenger liner Celestial Dream." "Han, I believe you were right. I'm scared." Han's chest tightened. The Celestial Dream was a luxury cruise ship that carried over 3,000 people on interstellar tours. If that engine failed during gravity fold, he typed back, "Get out of there, G. Save yourself. There's nothing we can do now." Han tried to sleep that night but couldn't. He kept seeing the simulation he had run. The cascade failure, the ship tearing itself apart, thousands of lives lost. All because a proud alien wouldn't listen to a human engineer. At 3 a.m., Han got up for water. His head ached fiercely behind his right ear, where his neural company implant sat. All Stellar Dynamics engineers received one. It connected directly to company systems, stored technical data, and increased work efficiency. His should have been deactivated when he was fired. The pain grew sharper. Han pressed his fingers against the implant and felt an unusual warmth. That wasn't normal. Company implants were supposed to go dormant after termination. On a hunch, Han connected his neural implant to his home system. To his shock, files began downloading immediately, hundreds of them. Technical schematics, meeting notes, test results. His implant had been backing everything up right until the moment of his termination, and the data had been sitting in his neural storage for weeks. Han sorted through the files quickly. Most were projects he had worked on, but some were restricted documents he'd never seen before. Among them was a folder marked Executive Eyes Only, Fold Engine Assessment. Han's hands shook as he opened it. Inside was a technical report authored by Taven himself, dated 6 weeks before Han's firing. The report detailed the exact same flaws Han had discovered, the resonance instability, the potential for cascade failure, everything Taven had known all along. Even more damning was the conclusion section. While the current design contains significant risk factors, addressing these would delay the project by 4 to 6 months. Such delays would impact Morid's standing in the human market. Recommend proceeding as planned while developing contingency explanations if failure occurs. Human error in operation would be the most credible narrative. Han read the passage 3 times. Taven wasn't just ignoring the problem. He was planning to blame humans when it failed. He was willing to risk thousands of lives to protect Morid's reputation. Han's device pinged again. Another message from G. "They're watching us closely. Taven just announced anyone questioning the engine design will be immediately terminated. What should I do?" Han stared at the files on his screen. He had proof now. Real, undeniable proof that Taven knew about the fatal flaws and was proceeding anyway. The question was, what could he do with it? The lawsuit would bankrupt him if he lost. No lawyer would take his case against a powerful alien executive without payment up front. And even with these files, would a court believe a fired human engineer over a respected Morid director? Han looked at G's message again. People would die if he did nothing. But his career, his future, his freedom might end if he fought back. He touched the neural implant behind his ear. It had given him a weapon when he needed it most. Maybe there was a way to use it. G, he typed back carefully. I need you to stay there a little longer. I found something that changes everything. But I need your help. For the first time in weeks, Han felt a spark of hope. Taven thought he had crushed a troublesome human. He didn't realize that human now held the evidence that could destroy him. Han began organizing the files. This wasn't just about getting his job back anymore. This was about saving lives and showing the Morid that humans weren't as primitive as they thought. Retri's FN sat nervously in the small office. The walls were lined with real paper books, expensive and rare in the digital age. Lawyer Park studied the files on her screen, occasionally making notes. She hadn't spoken for 10 minutes. So, Han finally asked, "Can you help me?" Lawyer Park looked up. She was older, with gray streaks in her black hair and lines around her eyes that deepened when she frowned, like now. "These files are explosive," she said, "if they're real." "They are real," Han insisted. "Check the authentication codes. They came directly from Stellar Dynamics' secure servers through my neural link." Lawyer Park nodded slowly. "I believe you. But a court might question how you obtained them." Han's heart sank. "So there's nothing we can do." "I didn't say that." Lawyer Park smiled for the first time. "We file a countersuit. Turn defense into offense. Taven sued you for $5 million. We sue Stellar Dynamics for $50 million, citing criminal negligence and endangerment of public safety." Hope flickered in Han's chest. "You'll take my case." "Yes, but we need more than just these documents. We need a solution." "A solution?" Han asked. "Show that you're not just pointing out problems but solving them. If you can fix what Taven couldn't, it strengthens our position enormously." That night, Han transformed his small apartment into a workspace. He pushed furniture against walls and set up his old engineering equipment on the kitchen table. His neural implant still contained all the technical specifications for the engine. Now he needed to fix it. The Morid approach to engineering was elegant but rigid, beautiful systems that couldn't adapt to unexpected conditions. The gravity fold required flexibility, not perfection. Han worked through the night, then another and another. He slept only when his body collapsed from exhaustion. Empty coffee cups piled up. His neighbors complained about the strange noises and lights at all hours. G kept sending updates from inside Stellar Dynamics. Production was accelerating. Safety protocols were being bypassed. 3 Morid engineers from the home planet had arrived to supervise, but never questioned Taven's decisions. They conducted the resonance test today. J messaged on the 5th night. "It failed exactly as you predicted." Taven classified the results and ordered everyone to proceed anyway. Han was close to a solution. The problem wasn't in the main engine design, but in how it handled energy fluctuations during the gravity fold. The Morid design tried to control everything perfectly. Han's approach embraced the chaos. "Don't fight the resonance," Han muttered to himself as he adjusted his model. "Ride it." On the 7th day, Han's simulation ran successfully. His modified engine design created a feedback loop that actually used the resonance to strengthen the field rather than fighting against it. It was messy, adaptable, and very human in its approach. "I've got it," he messaged G, sending her the basic concept. "This is brilliant," she replied hours later. "The Morid would never think like this. They hate imperfection. Can you get me data from their latest tests? I need to refine the numbers." 2 days later, G sent him test data she had secretly copied. She also included something unexpected. Internal messages showing that Taven knew about even more problems, but was hiding them from his own Morid supervisors. He's gambling with everyone's lives, she wrote. Even his own people don't know how bad it is. Lawyer Park advised Han to patent his solution immediately. Make it public record but protected. That way, they can't steal it, and we can prove you developed it. With the patent filed and the countersuit prepared, Lawyer Park submitted everything to the Interstellar Commerce Court. Han's lawsuit accused Stellar Dynamics and Taven personally of criminal negligence, fraud, wrongful termination, and defamation. The court date was set for 3 weeks later, just days before the Celestial Dream's scheduled launch with the new engine. When the countersuit was delivered to Stellar Dynamics, Taven's response was swift. He held a press conference the same day. This desperate legal maneuver by a disgruntled former employee is both sad and predictable, Taven told reporters, his 4 eyes blinking in what humans had learned was a Morid expression of dismissal. The human has fabricated evidence and is now claiming to have fixed technology he doesn't even understand. These are the desperate tactics of an inferior species that cannot accept its limitations. Han watched the broadcast from Lawyer Park's office, his hands clenched into fists. He's scared, Lawyer Park said, watching Han's reaction. If he wasn't, he wouldn't bother responding publicly. Will the court believe us? Han asked. Courts care about evidence, not species. And we have the evidence. She smiled confidently. But more importantly, we have something Taven doesn't. What's that? A solution that actually works. The Interstellar Commerce Court was located in a massive glass building in the heart of the city. Han had walked past it many times, but never imagined he would be inside, fighting for his future. Now he sat beside Lawyer Park at the plaintiff's table, trying to look confident despite the knots in his stomach. Across the room, Director Taven sat with 3 lawyers, 2 human and 1 Morid. The alien director looked perfectly calm, his blue skin almost glowing under the bright court lights. His 4 eyes occasionally glanced at Han with what seemed like amusement. The gallery behind them was packed. The case had attracted attention across the planet. Humans rarely challenged Morid executives in court, especially not fired employees facing massive lawsuits themselves. The judge, a stern older woman named Judge Rowe, called the court to order. We will now hear expert testimony regarding the technical aspects of this case, she announced. The neutral expert witness, Dr. Lee, was a respected professor of interstellar engineering with no ties to either party. He stepped forward and activated the large holographic display in the center of the courtroom. I have thoroughly examined both the original Stellar Dynamics engine design and Mr. Han's proposed modifications, Dr. Lee explained. I will now demonstrate the projected performance of each. The lights dimmed. A detailed hologram of a spacecraft appeared, floating in the air for everyone to see. Inside it was a glowing representation of the engine. This is the current Morid design, Dr. Lee said. I will now simulate what our calculations indicate would happen during gravity fold initiation. The engine in the hologram began to power up. At first, everything looked normal. Then small vibrations appeared, growing rapidly into violent oscillations. Suddenly, the resonance patterns went critical. The engine core flared bright red, and the entire ship exploded in a blinding flash. Gasps filled the courtroom. Han heard someone whisper, "All those people." This failure would occur approximately 43 seconds after fold initiation. Dr. Lee continued calmly. The death of all passengers and crew would be instantaneous. Judge Rowe's expression darkened. And how certain are you of this outcome, Dr. Lee? The mathematics are conclusive, Your Honor. This isn't a possibility. It's a certainty. Taven stood suddenly. This is theoretical nonsense. Our simulations show. Sit down, Director, Judge Rowe ordered. You will have your chance to respond. Taven sat, his blue skin darkening with what Han recognized as anger. Now, Dr. Lee continued, I will show the same simulation using Mr. Han's modifications. The hologram reset, This time, as the engine initiated the gravity fold, the vibrations still appeared, but were immediately channeled into a feedback system. Instead of fighting the resonance, Han's design used it, creating a stable field that actually strengthened as it formed. The ship disappeared smoothly into the fold with a soft blue glow. As you can see, Dr. Lee said, Mr. Han's solution not only prevents catastrophic failure, but actually improves efficiency by 22% beyond the original specifications. Han felt a small surge of pride. The endless nights of work had paid off. Judge Rowe leaned forward. Your expert assessment, Dr. Lee. Mr. Han's solution is brilliant. It represents a fundamental advance in fold field technology. It's also distinctly human in its approach, embracing imperfection rather than fighting it. As Dr. Lee stepped down, a court officer rushed in and handed Judge Rowe a datapad. She read it quickly, her eyebrows rising. Counsel, I have just received news that may be relevant to these proceedings, she announced. Approximately 1 hour ago, Stellar Dynamics conducted a remote test of the original engine design at their facility on Ganymede. The test resulted in catastrophic failure, with complete destruction of the unmanned test vehicle. The courtroom erupted in shocked voices. Judge Rowe banged her gavel for silence. Director Taven, she said, fixing the alien with a hard stare. Did you knowingly proceed with a flawed design? Taven's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in Moritz. The courtroom fell completely silent. Your Honor, the test results are being misinterpreted, Taven finally said. There were external factors. Answer the question. Judge Rowe interrupted. The documents presented by Mr. Han include your own assessment from 6 weeks ago, identifying the exact flaw that just caused this failure. Did you knowingly proceed with a design you knew was fatally flawed? Taven's lawyers whispered urgently to him, but he brushed them off. Morid engineering is superior, he insisted. Any failures are due to human implementation errors. Judge Rowe looked at the datapad again. According to this report, the test was conducted entirely by Morid engineers using Morid equipment. For the first time, Taven seemed to lose his composure. Your Honor, certain sacrifices are sometimes necessary for progress. The reputation of Morid engineering is worth thousands of lives. Judge Rowe finished for him. This court thinks not. On the other side of the city, G watched the proceedings on a public screen with dozens of other Stellar Dynamics employees. As Taven's admission echoed through the speakers, she quietly slipped away to make a call. Everything was going according to plan. The massive observation window curved around the entire upper level of Han Adaptive Systems headquarters. From here, Han could see the sprawling spaceport, and beyond it, the gleaming towers of the city where just 6 months ago he had been an unemployed engineer facing financial ruin. Today, he wore a simple but well-made suit with a small company pin, a stylized 8 that swirled like the adaptive resonance patterns of his engine design. Beside him stood G, her position as Chief Operations Officer, marked by a similar pin with additional markings. Final checks complete, said the voice over the communication system. Star Cruiser Harmony preparing for departure. The Harmony was beautiful. A passenger liner designed to carry 2,000 people on luxury tours through the galaxy. Its sleek hull gleamed in the afternoon sun, but its true beauty was invisible from here. The engine at its core, the first commercial installation of the Han adaptive engine. Nervous? G asked, noticing Han's tense posture. Terrified, he admitted with a small smile, but also proud. The courtroom victory had been just the beginning. Judge Rowe's ruling had been devastating for Stellar Dynamics and Director Taven. The company had been fined hundreds of millions of credits. Han's countersuit had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations, awarding him ownership of his engine patents, plus a settlement large enough to start his own company. Most of Stellar Dynamics' human engineers had resigned following the scandal. 30 of the best now worked for Han, including Jay, who had been the first to join. Message from the Harmony captain announced the young technician monitoring communications. They're ready for fold initiation. Han nodded, trying to appear calm though his heart raced. Hundreds of tests had proven his design worked perfectly. But this was different. The first commercial flight with actual passengers. The observation room filled with Han's employees, all wanting to witness this moment. Han had insisted on a company culture opposite to what Taven had created. Collaborative, transparent, and respectful of all species. 3 Morid engineers had even joined the team, impressed by Han's innovative approach. News about Taven had traveled quickly across the galaxy. The Morid Council had recalled him in disgrace. His willingness to risk lives for profit and pride had shocked even his own people. More surprising was the ripple effect through the galactic community. Species that had long accepted Morid technical superiority began questioning other claims. Humans, previously seen as junior partners in galactic affairs, were suddenly viewed with new respect. "Engine power at 40%, reported the technician. Han thought back to his small apartment where he had developed the solution on his kitchen table. How distant that desperate time seemed now. 60%. G touched his arm lightly. "You changed everything, Han." He shook his head. "We changed everything. I would have failed without your help." 80%. Field stability optimal.